So I actually got to chill with my brother today, and we got to spend some quality time together. And I'm kind of making this video for him. I just wanted to kind of put it out there and just just kind of highlight what that entails. But yeah, today reminded me that no matter how stressful life gets, spending time with my brother always brings me back down to earth and makes everything feel normal again. I've been going through a lot lately, and the fact that I was able to just spend time with him and I got to show him some of the videos and some of the songs that I've made. So check out that songs playlist, guys, because I got over 45. I got about 45 videos in that playlist of music that I've made, and I'm really proud of it. But we sat there drinking a couple beers together. It wasn't even a couple. It was actually just like one. But it was a tall boy, so it was a pretty good amount. But we were just laughing at random videos and just chilling together, and we got to watch some like Moist Critical, and he showed me some Warhammer 40K videos as well, and it was really good. But there's something comforting about hanging out with someone who's known you your entire life and still accepts you for exactly the way you are. Even though I've got mental health issues and stuff like that, he's always been really kind to me, and I was really just happy to be able to hang out with him. And we didn't need some like huge plan or anything, just chilling together, being next to each other, watching videos, talking about life, talking about the future, and just, growing on YouTube and stuff like that. It's just been a really good experience. And we didn't need some huge plan or expensive trip to have a good time. It was just sometimes the best memories are literally just sitting around together talking. And I know I'll cherish this day for, decades to come. But, watching videos together brought back that same feeling we had as kids when we'd stay up late laughing at dumb stuff and forgetting about everything else. And I realized today how important it is to appreciate these little moments while they're still happening because life moves way too fast. And my brother's always been one of the few people who can make me laugh even when I'm stressed out or feeling mentally drained. And he was just generally good vibes, and I generally just had a really good time. We spent hours just chilling, talking about life, joking around, and enjoying the kind of peace that only family can bring. Having a beer with my brother today felt less about drinking and more about slowing down long enough to actually enjoy each other's company. And some people think memories only come from huge life events, but honestly, some of the best memories come from regular days like this. And sitting there watching funny videos together reminded me of how much I missed simple moments that don't involve pressure or expectations. Just coexisting together and enjoying each other's company and just having a good chat. It's really just generally good times. And I'm grateful that no matter how much time passes, my brother and I can still hang out like we never skipped a beat. And we talked about old memories from growing up, and it made me realize how lucky I am to still have him in my life. And there's a special kind of comfort that comes from being around someone who understands your history without needing explanations. He was literally just listening and responding in a positive way. And, we got to chat a little bit about life in general and just like how my mental health's been and growing on YouTube and stuff like that. And today wasn't flashy or exciting to anybody else, but to us it was special. To us it was actually a good time. And we might actually game later today. And we're going to see each other again next weekend. I'm actually going to go to his house and we're going to hang out and enjoy some vices and, nothing overboard, but just enough to take the edge off and, just generally going to have a good time. We laughed so hard at some of the videos we watched that it felt like we were teenagers again for a little while. But sometimes the best therapy in the world is just sitting next to someone you trust and sharing a peaceful evening together. And, I think people underestimate how healing it can be to spend quality time with family without distractions from the outside world. And, my brother has always been someone I can lean on. And today reminded me of how much that bond still matters. We generally just had a really good time, and, the vibes were great, and it kind of brought me out of the mental illness battles that I've had and really just brought me back home. And I generally just enjoyed that, and I enjoyed feeling normal again, and just having good conversations and just coexisting with someone that means the world to me. It's always a special time. And yeah, he only drank like half a beer, and he gave me the other half of it. So I got a little bit buzzed, and it was just nice hanging out and stuff. But, we didn't talk about anything groundbreaking, just normal life stuff. And sometimes those simple conversations, they end up meaning everything to me. And in those simple moments, you'll look back on in life and just be like, dude, I'm so glad that I got to have those moments. And it felt good just to relax for once instead of constantly worrying about work, stress, or the future. Spending time with my brother today reminded me that happiness doesn't always have to be complicated or hard to find. You can find it right there in the moment. And the older I get, the more I appreciate moments where everyone's healthy, everyone's together, and enjoying life in the simplest ways possible. We watched some good videos. We watched Moist Critical do like a Panda Express tier list. He showed me a couple Warhammer videos, which I think I already mentioned, but yeah, it was just really cool. We also played a little bit of Elden Ring, and we tried to fight the first guy that's on the torrent or whatever. But we ended up getting our ass kicked. But, it was still fun, I beat Elden Ring twice, but, my game skill has suffered drastically since then, which kind of sucks, but I know that I can get back to that point where I could probably beat Elden Ring again, because it's still me. That's still who I am. That's going to be who I am forever, That's always going to be who I am, so I just got to practice a little bit, but even sitting in silence for a few minutes felt comfortable because that's the kind of connection brothers can have. And generally just made me feel a lot better. And, I've learned that, family is really valuable. And, when you realize that, like, the moments aren't guaranteed forever, you learn to appreciate them more and to cherish them more, and you learn to stay a little bit longer before, heading home or whatever, because, it could be the very last time you ever get to spend together. Today made me appreciate the fact that we still make time for each other despite life pulling everybody in different directions. It felt good hearing my brother laugh because hearing family happy gives me a kind of peace that nothing else can replace. But yeah, I generally just had a good time, and I just wanted to share that with you guys to kind of inspire you to maybe spend more time with your family. But that's pretty much all I got, and I'll see you in the next one.